Hello, and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop put on by Kelly Georgina, and it's to celebrate the International Day of Happiness. I'm making a birthday card for my sister because, of course, birthday cards I associate with happiness. And I'm using the Lawn Fawn stamp set called Wild Wolves because that's one of her favorite animals. So I'm just using some VersaFine Clair black ink to stamp my sentiment, which says, I love you a whole lot. And inside I also stamped one of the wolves. You'll see I have a black streak that did get on the front, but that's okay because I'll be making a panel that will go on front of the card and cover that up. I cut out some Bristol smooth cardstock with my stitch Hillside borders from Lawn Fawn, and I'm stamping the sentiment, it's your day, enjoy it to the fullest, with some VersaMark ink because I'm going to do some embossing. For the embossing, I'm using some silver embossing powder from Recollections, and I'm going to be making this more like a nighttime sky, so that's why I wanted to use the silver to remind me of the stars. And one thing that does make me happy is seeing sunsets and sunrises and also seeing the nighttime sky. I decided I wanted to also emboss the moon on my background, so I'm just figuring out where that's going to go. I'm going to make this into a shaker card, so I'm just putting my rectangle die on here so I can see where to stamp my moon. I'm using the same embossing powder on the moon that I did on the sentiment. I don't know if you can tell on the video, but I did do it a little bit too long, so I did scorch the paper a little bit, but it's okay because I'm going to do a lot of ink blending and that covers up the brown part of the paper. A lot of times I usually color in my stamped images with markers, but since the background's going to be Distress Oxide, I wanted to color the moon in with the same type of medium, so I'm using Fossilized Amber. Then I'm inking the ground part of my card, and so I had two green colors out because I wasn't sure if I was going to use two colors or just one, but I ended up just using the pine needles. I chose this color because it has sort of a bluish tint to it, so I thought that would go along well with the blue sky that I'm going to be creating, and also it has a darker hue to it, which I thought would go better since it's supposed to be nighttime. I created a mask for my moon with some low-tack tape so that I could do the ink blending for the sky without going over the yellow on the moon. I'm doing ink blending starting with my lighter blues first with Salvaged Patina, and then I'll go to darker colors. I wanted it to look kind of like a sunset, but also these colors go along with the shaker mix that I'm going to be using. Then I used Stormy Sky, and the next color I used was Chipped Sapphire. And finally I finished the top with Black Soot, and I also decided to add some of the Black Soot to my grassy hill to make it look more like nighttime. Now this nighttime sky I created kind of reminded me of when my sister and I went to Yosemite many years ago, and we got to go on the Moonlight Tram ride. So that was really neat because you could see the nighttime sky with the stars, and the granite rocks in that area are white, so they reflected from the moon. They only offered the tour when there was a full moon, so we happened to plan our trip when that was taking place. I used Lawn Fawn's large stitched rectangle stackable dies. I used the largest one to cut out this panel, and now I'm using the second largest one to cut out an inside panel so that I can use the outside area for my frame, for my shaker, and the inside will be the background. I'm using some low-tack tape just to put my frame on temporarily so I can line up my inside panel. And that way I can glue it using my Nuvo Deluxe glue and get it in the correct position. Then I used my glue to attach my hillside to the front of the frame. I cut out a piece of vellum just a little bit smaller than my frame, and I'm just using some double-sided adhesive to attach that to the back of my frame, and this will create my shaker window. Then I'm using some 1/4 inch wide foam tape to put around the edge of my panel, and also I put it on the top of the hillside to make an area for my shaker. I could have left the whole thing open, but I don't need any of the shaker to go below the hillside since that's not going to be visible. And also I thought if you put it across the hillside, it'll give a little bit of extra stability to the card. Now this foam tape I have is a large roll. I think I got it at a convention and it doesn't say what brand it is, so I don't know what it is. I went around the foam tape with my powder tool to keep my shaker bits from sticking to the foam tape. Next I'm adding my shaker bits to the top of my panel, and the ones I'm using are from Buttons and Galore, and it's called Sailor Sky Sparkletz. And these are one of my favorite sparkle mixes. Then I just peel off the paper from the double-sided tape and line it up with my card and adhere it to the front of the card, and that finishes the shaker bit of the card. Off screen, I went ahead and stamped and colored my images from the Lawn Fawn Wild Wolves collection, and I'm just figuring out where I want to put everything, and I do adhere everything with Nuvo Deluxe glue, and a few of the items I'm adhering with some adhesive that I made from chipboard and some double-sided tape. And I did that to try to be a little bit more eco-friendly compared to foam tape. Also, with the chipboard, it's not quite as thick as the foam tape so that my items don't stick up too high. All the images I colored with Copic markers, and I used Copic friendly paper. And the colors I used were all the cool gray colors, and I chose those because they kind of had a little bit of a bluish tint to them, so I thought that went well with the card. Now I did not put that in this video because it is a hop and I didn't want it to be too long. I have done another video where I specifically show how to color the wolves with different colors, and that's where I swatched out these wolves so I can look and see what colors I want to color things in the future. So I will link that video at the end of this one. I will put a list of all the products that I use in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that those links generate, and that helps support my channel. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a YouTube hop. I'll have a list of all the participants in the description below. All the participants are part of Team Tiny, which is a Facebook group of people who have crafting YouTube channels where we have less than 1,000 subscribers. So please hop along and give everyone some support. And if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to everyone's channel and show them some love with some likes and some comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. Also, I hope you get some good inspiration for making some cards and share some cards with other people to give them some happiness. Thank you and have a wonderful day.